Hunting for Answers is a production of the Black Effect Podcast Network and iHeartRadio. Welcome to Hunting for Answers, a true crime podcast. I'm your host, Hunter. In Chicago, Illinois, a 15-year-old girl called her mother and said she wanted to come home. She told her she wasn't being allowed to leave. Her mother went to get her. And for a moment, it seemed like she had made it out, safe again. But not long after that, she returned. That night, voices were heard, an argument, and then quiet. By the next day, she would be found unresponsive. This is the story of Amarise Parker. Amarise Parker was just 15 years old, a high school student in Chicago. Her family described her as kind, loved, and full of life. In the weeks leading up to her death, there were signs that things were not stable. She had been reported missing more than once. During that time, she was in contact with a 24-year-old man, Joshua Williams. Reports described them as being in a relationship. By early December 2023, she was staying at his apartment on the south side of the city. And at some point, she reached out to her mother. She told her she was not being allowed to leave. Her mother came for her, took her home, and for a moment, she was back home with her family, in a place that felt safe. But not long after that, she was back there again. On the night of December 11th into the early hours of December 12th, Amarise was back inside that apartment on South Phillips Avenue. She spent the night there. At some point, neighbors heard voices coming from inside. An argument, raised voices, and then at some point, everything went quiet. What happened in those final hours is still unclear. By the next day, Amarise was no longer responding. On December 12, 2023, police were called to the apartment. Inside, they found 15-year-old Amarise Parker. She was found inside a closet, her body covered with a blanket. She was pronounced deceased at the scene. The medical examiner later determined the cause of death to be asphyxiation due to strangulation. Investigators noted injuries to her neck and face. Her death was ruled a homicide. In the hours leading up to that moment, investigators would later focus on the person who was last seen with her, Joshua Williams. He had been with Amarise inside that apartment, and at some point after she was unresponsive, he contacted one of his family members saying she wouldn't wake up. That family member called for help. But by the time first responders arrived, it was already too late. As the investigation continued, detectives began looking closer at what was left behind. On his phone, investigators found a series of internet searches related to strangulation, to murder, and to possible penalties for those crimes. They also recovered videos showing Amarise unresponsive before first responders were called. Joshua Williams was later arrested and charged with first-degree murder. Prosecutors also noted an out-of-state warrant in a separate case involving alleged strangulation. For Amarise's family, the loss was immediate and devastating. A 15-year-old who should still be here, a life that was still just beginning, and a moment that changed everything. Joshua Williams is facing a first-degree murder charge in connection with Amarise Parker's death. A motive has not been publicly confirmed. The case continues to move forward, and for her family, questions remain about those final hours. What happened inside that apartment that night? Our thoughts are with Amarise Parker's family and loved ones. As we close this episode, sharing Amarise's story helps keep her name in focus. Her life mattered and shouldn't have ended this way. For more cases and updates, follow Hunting for Answers. You can also connect with us through our Facebook group and find us on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. If there's a story you believe deserves attention, we'd love to hear from you. Thank you for joining us for another episode. Until next time. Hunting for Answers is a production of the Black Effect Podcast Network. For more podcasts from the Black Effect Podcast Network, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.